10 years. Ooh, 10 years. Seems like, to me, it's flown by. I don't know if it feels that way for you, but you've been doing this now 10 years at Kentucky. Can you believe it?
Google the first press conference and look at me 10 years ago, and I want you to look at me now, and you will feel bad what you all have done to me. You will say, oh my gosh, we beat this dude up. But you know, one thing I want you all to know, 10 years, and I'm happy. I'm happy. You know, here's why I'm happy. We didn't try to imitate anybody. We walked in and as a staff and myself and said, this is how we're going to do this. We're going to make this about these kids. And kind of stuck with it. I mean, I look at my job right now. I have to help these young people develop professional habits. You all think that's just on the basketball court. It is not. Dan will tell you, to be in that league, you better have professional habits off the court. You better understand what it means to be professional, both on and off the court. That's why it takes time for our teams to come together. Normally it's January and February, because I got to spend half of my time helping them develop habits, which means over and over and over, repetitive, over. If I was just saying it's about 6 guys, we got to win as many as we can win, we're going to run stuff early. If you don't have it, you take a back seat and we go from there. We said we'd coach every player on the team as though he's a starter. It means it takes time. But you know what? Stuck with it. And today, 10 years later, I'm happy. I'm happy I didn't try to imitate anybody else. We just did, this is what we're going to do. We've graduated 20 players over that 10-year period, 20. 4 of them graduated in 3 years, my son being one. Then he transferred. I don't know what that means. So it's more than just on the court. It's the habits they're learning away from basketball as well. And I hope you would look at our team and, aside from just winning and losing, and saying, I'm proud they're representing us. That's the kind of young people we want. In recruiting, haven't budged. If you're drinking, smoking, clubbing, chasing, do not come here. If you need to have someone tell you you're going to start, I'm not saying that to you. We've started 35 freshmen in 10 years. If you're good enough, you will start. If someone's better than you, they will start. Well, I need 20 shots a game or 20. We've stuck to it. If someone is not going to help our team be better as a person, you're not coming here, which means we do miss on kids. Kids go elsewhere. But I walked into my gym 2 days ago, and you know what I said? I love this team. Every day I can come in here and know they want to be coached, they want to get better. It's about improvement. And so when I say this, 10 years of it, I know it's worn me down, and I look like I've been in a boxing match, but I'll tell you this, I'm happy after 10 years.
We talked about the second tour. I want to get to that in a little bit, but first, looking back at this 10 years, going back to that first group, John, DeMarcus, Eric, Patrick, Mark Krebs, who I think might even be here today. That was a special group that seemed to set a foundation. Even Brandon Knight, you talk about the culture. How important were those early players into creating the culture that you were able to build and continue to grow?
Well, that first group was like a unique group. None of us thought that 5 guys would leave and go to the end of the NBA draft and ready, be first round picks. 5. What? Has never happened again or before. And if it is to happen, it'll happen here. But that group changed how we all kind of thought about what is this? What are our goals? What are we supposed to do? Are we solely about the program, or are we about these kids? If it were your child, how would he want to be treated? How would you want him to be treated? Then we have Brandon Knight who comes in and says, I've had straight A's my whole life and that will not change. And he leaves here with 60 college credits because he came in with 23. At 11 o'clock at night, I walk in my office and he's in the gym. It's like February. He's gonna be drafted here in 3 months, 4 months. He's in the gym at 11 o'clock at night. Why? I had a chemistry test and I wanted to study for it before I worked out. Well, guess what? Academically, Eric Lindsay, I believe, at 67 SEC all academic awards that we've done in 10 years. So it's not, he changed that culture of what we were about. But I could go on, Tyler Hero, we're talking about how hard he worked. You know, well, you gotta be a 5-star guy, and if you're not, you know, they'll recruit on. Well, Tyler Hero didn't make the McDonald's game. He did play in the Jordan game, but he played 3 minutes and was really angry that they did not play him. And why would you go to Kentucky? They're gonna recruit over you and you're not good enough. And you take what you want at Kentucky. Ask Pat Riley what he thinks of Tyler. Well, ask the NBA what they think of Tyler Hero. But we could go Eric Bledsoe. And how about PJ stays 2 years? Because he had to. It wasn't because he was helping us as a basketball program. He was saying, I need to stay another year to be more prepared. We've had guys stay 4 years, Darius Miller. We've had guys stay 3 years, Willie Cauley-Stein. But this is about them, and guess what they've done for us? Won more basketball games in 10 years than any program, maybe ever. Did I say that again? Maybe ever in the history of our sport. More Final Fours in 10 years. Win the national title. How many of you believe we should have won 2 others? Yeah. Blame that on coaching. More Elite Eights, more Sweet 16s, more SEC championships, more SEC tournament championships than any program in 10 years. That's what those players have done for us. You ready? 40 of them have been drafted, and right now in the NBA, their combined salaries are over $2 billion. $2 billion. Not shoe contracts, not. Now there's a guy in Louisville that says don't let him trick you with the $1 billion. It's not one anymore, it's $2 billion. So I kind of say we've all benefited. Right now, and I'm not saying it's because of basketball, we got a wonderful president. The campus is going under $3 billion of change. How many of you have not been there in a while? If you haven't, you need to get back on the campus and see this place. It's unbelievable. From 6,000 new beds to how they eat, how they train, student, new business, new school. I mean, it is a totally different place. And you know what? It's fun to be a part of that too.
You talked about the highlights of those first 10 years. And you can go through the Elite Eights and the Final Fours and all of that. As we move into this second tour, the biggest difference is probably that your wife is the most famous person in your house now, that she is the star. How do you feel about moving into this second tour?
You follow on Instagram. How many of you follow my wife? I'm so happy it's very few. Because her Instagram, she has one job. What's her job? She tries to embarrass me. The whole thing is embarrassing me. And she calls me the roommate, I call her the princess, okay? So I gotta tell you that, you know, she's been, you know how we guys, we look after our wives. Well, I'll tell you the story, and then if you don't follow her on Instagram, if you just want to laugh before you go to bed, as she kind of tries to, she does, embarrass her husband. We were in Massachusetts, snowed like crazy. We were only married probably 3 years at the time. She's shoveling. Now, she grew up on a farm in Osceola, Missouri. Like, I called it a dirt farm, but it was a farm. So she likes cutting grass and shoveling and doing it. She'd stay in a tent. I'll stay at a Four Seasons. We're fine. So I go home and she's shoveling the driveway, my wife. And it's kind of but it was a cinder driveway so the shovel would, you could see, and I was so mad. I just said, come on. So I had it paved so her shovel would move easier. And she could shovel easy and not have to get all the... But yeah, you would enjoy, she's on me about taking garbage cans down. I take the garbage cans down sometimes.
As you enter this next chapter, the second tour, there is a lot of talk about college basketball, how it is changing, how it has changed even over the past 10 years. Where do you see college basketball going, and how does Kentucky stay ahead of that?
Well, and I'm going to try to do this in a brief reading the tea leaves to you. I'm worried about what's happening and who is driving what's going to happen to college basketball. Here's why. There should be players that leave high school, go directly to the NBA. They're 18 years old, they're 19. Most will not be ready, but you know what? They have the talent and all that, and that's fine. But those 7 or 8 should not change everything about college basketball. They're 7 or 8. So I believe they should go. But I also believe we shouldn't devalue education. I asked you this. Right now, they're trying to encourage kids to go to the G League. Basically saying, we're in Louisville. This happens in Louisville. The light goes out, the TV will start flashing. When I'm in Louisville, I start speaking, they'll start pushing and pulling. You hear, this thing is going to go on and off for a minute, so then I'm talking. But here's what I would say. The kids have to understand your way to the American dream is through education. That's it. Very few just should chase the other and not worry about education. I'm talking few. The kids that go to college, yeah, we got to figure out how we do this. But my problem is, would you recommend to your child, because the NBA is entertainment, would you recommend to your child, look, you're so good looking and you can sing. Forget about education, go to Hollywood, you're going to make it. Would you do that to your child? Let me ask you, what happens to the people that do that and don't make it? Does Hollywood take care of them? Believe me, they're not the welfare department. And the NBA is entertainment. That's what it is. So my thing is, let's be real about these numbers. The last 5 years, there's been about 10 players make it through the G League to become a starter or a real rotational player, 10. So what do we do with all these other guys? You understand the second round pick is not guaranteed a contract. You're not guaranteed. They got to accept you. Well, what if they go to the 3rd and 4th round? Are you guaranteed? No, you're not guaranteed. So you may get drafted and not get a contract. The salary in the G League is $35,000. And they don't understand, they pay tax on that too. Oh no, you pay tax. What do you mean I pay tax? What's tax? You'll see. And the more you make, more you're gonna pay. So my issue becomes, let's not get away and devalue education. Whatever we do, let them 7 or 8 go. Let them go. Let them have the opportunity. But let's not make this so that we're encouraging 9th and 10th graders, to make a decision, Hollywood or academics. What are they going to make? What I hate to tell you, what would most of us in the room say? Hollywood. And that's my issue with it, because we also know the demographic that we're talking about. We understand that in college basketball, we have the highest graduation rate ever of college players. You ready? The highest graduation rate of African American basketball players, you ready? Ever. Why would we throw that out because of 6 kids? Why would we do that? Are we worried about the kids? Tell me what it is. Are you going to tell me none of them belong on a college campus? We have lifetime scholarships at Kentucky. 7 of our players have already started back and are working on it. So they may do it over a period of time, but they know it's always there for them. If they fail at basketball, they can come back and get a college degree. But as a 9th and 10th grader, guess what? They had to prepare for college or they weren't going to Division I basketball. I just don't want that to change.
And this is a problem that's probably not going away, and you could potentially be involved in it because you have a lifetime contract now. You are on the hook to be here forever.
So lifetime means when they want to fire you, they say you just died, sorry. No such thing. You know, Mitch made a great point. Every coach at the university is basically on a lifetime college scholarship or a contract. Do your job, do it the right way, and we're going to be here to support you. So I would say just about every coach, you're going to have that opportunity to be here as long as you want. And we have a great staff. Matthew, you know that the guys and ladies that we have coaching, and Mitch is doing it. He was AD of the year. We have a president that says, you ready? I don't know where he got this. Students first. That's what he's about, students first, which is great stuff.
So moving into this season, your team is ranked 2nd in the country. 10th time in 11 years you've been a preseason top 5 team, which I'm sure you appreciate those expectations. What do you think about this group so far? Early impressions?
How about then the team, you said 10 out of 11?
10 out of 11, yeah.
So the one team then that wasn't ranked in the top 5 had to be Brandon's team, that team with Terrence Jones and Durham?
No, I think it was the next year. I think it was the year you won the title, wasn't it?
No.
Was it the Brandon night?
Yeah, the Brandon Knight year. And
we'll get in trouble for that, aren't
we went, I think we went to the Final Four that year. They didn't rank us that high. It doesn't mean anything, and it just puts a target on our back. Last year we were highly ranked, and we went into that first game feeling good. All you felt good. We played Duke. They beat us by 100. 100. This year should be easier. We open up with Michigan State, who's #1 in the country, and was in that's how I feel. Oh my. But you know what? When you make it about continuing to keep teaching habits and you don't try to skip steps, whatever happens in that first game doesn't wipe you out. We still, can I tell you, I thought we were going to win the national title last year. Even when that game was close and it went to overtime, I still thought we're going to win the national title with this team. And that's the same team that got beat by, I don't want to exaggerate, it was 54 in that first game.
As far as the roster, your guards, you got some depth, returning players, some talent there. Tell everybody about that backcourt.
Well, you have Ashton and Emmanuel. If anybody went to the Blue White or watched it, how much better is Emmanuel Quickly than he was a year ago? It's not even the same player. You have Tyrese Maxey, who's going to be good. You have Johnny Juzang, who is, I called him in the office because they're beating him up a little bit in practice, grabbing him, and he's not used to it. So now he's not making shots, which is his game. And I said, you've never had to go this hard. You never got beat up like this. Now you have no legs to make a shot when you do have a shot. But I told him he's got to get comfortable in this setting. And right now he's uncomfortable. Be comfortable being uncomfortable, and he's going to do it. Khalil had his best practice 2 days ago. I always get worried. I have feet on the panic button for individual players and also my team. But he came through. Keon Brooks is way better than we thought and gives us flexibility. How many of you like Nate Sestina? Like, you know, just a quick story. I'm not into taking grad transfers unless it's from a Power 5 and they don't feel like they're going to get what they need. But at mid-major, I think it wrecks programs and it gets coaches fired, and I stay away from it. This kid was from Bucknell. The assistant coach called me and said, look, we got a kid that you need to consider. He's a graduate student. Wait a minute, Joe, why is there something wrong with him? Why would you be sending him to me? Why wouldn't you keep him? And I said, I'm not for this. And he said, well, here at Bucknell, we don't have a graduate program. Invent one, create one. Are you crazy? And he laughed and said, we don't have one. So took him, and I'm so happy because he's a leader, he talks, he plays hard, he has effort. He shoots it like Derek Willis used to shoot. You remember Derek? When we spread, that's what this kid can do. EJ and Nick really have improved and are getting better. And Dante hasn't started practicing yet. So he's doing stuff individually, but his knee and the shoulder have set him back.
The guys all offseason have talked about they believe they can be a great defensive team, and that's sort of been their focus. I don't know if that's how they look in practice, but when you look at this group, how do you think they're going to play? What's going to be the trade?
Well, if we're not a great defensive team, we'll just be okay. We'll have a good year, but it won't be anything special. Being a great defensive team means you start on the ball and your guards can really guard. Well, we all know Ashton and Tyrese, and they can guard the ball. So it starts there. The second piece of that is, do you have shot blockers behind them? So as they make these guys play, your shot blockers can go get balls, which lowers their shooting percentage. We have that. Now, do you have the toughness to come up with rebounds? Or do they do everything right, stop the ball, try to block, and the guy grabs it, pushes a guy away, and lays in an easy basket? I worry about that part of us. And we're doing a lot of toughness things. But if any of you ever played or you coached, you're juggling balls. Because the more you're doing the bang and bang, and we have 9 scholarship players right now. You turn around, you'll be at 6, when you're doing it. But I don't think we have a choice. So our practices have been pretty physical. And then offensively, just getting them to pass the ball. Literally, there are times where a guy will pass it, I stop practice and I make everybody give me a hand pass. Like, he never passed, but Tyler Hero never passed. I told him, you're the worst passer I've ever coached. He still, if he has 6 assists, he'll send it to me. I had 6 assists today. He said, yeah, you're the worst passer to ever have 6 assists. How about that? But they're trying to get them to pass the ball to each other, where they're trying to establish who they are. It's a hard deal, and it just takes time. I mean, if you ask me right now, you need a bucket, where do you go? Who do you get it from? I don't know. But at this time last year, I didn't know. It happens. It happens organically, and you know who tells you? The players tell you. They'll show you. Without talking, they'll show who's the guys you should be going to when you need a basket. We're not there yet. We're doing those basic teaching habits and footwork, and makes it for a long day.
Get you out of here on this, Coach. Sunday, first exhibition, learning about the guys. What can you learn when you see them against someone else?
Well, Georgetown won the national title a year ago. So now, if you remember, do you remember we played IUP last year? And you all walked out of the gym and said, oh my God, we're not that good. IUP had a chance to beat us. Well, you're going to see the same thing with Georgetown. Well, Gray does an unbelievable job of coaching. They've got an athletic, talented team. And I told my team, it's probably not the best thing I've done to you, but we're going to learn about each other. So we're going to play Georgetown, and then we play Kentucky State. Then what's the number 1 team in the country after that? And let me just finish by telling you how much we appreciate all of you here. How about we did it here at Churchill Downs? You like it? I like this. This is great. I told the people in the back, all you people up here who thought you had the best seat, and they got the window seats back there looking out. They got to see the place. But let me thank Churchill Downs for having us. It was great. I would tell you, support all the athletics, because whether it's softball, whether it's our volleyball, this thing is, you're supporting those kids. So if you have a chance to support, what we were saying with Matthew, what this is that we all are about is making this experience for these kids the best. When they leave us, all they talk about is the best time of my life was spent at the University of Kentucky. That's what our goal is. Thank you.